"You'll never own a house like Preston," Dad said. My brother laughed loudly, the kind of laugh that felt like it was echoing through the house just to remind me of my place. I said nothing. I just nodded and went back to my room, trying to hide the sting behind my calm face. Days later, they toured the mansion my brother had been dreaming about for years. My parents were so proud of him, completely wrapped up in his excitement. They didn't even glance at me except to ask polite questions now and then. And there I was, standing behind the large polished front door, waiting for the right moment. When they finally turned around, I greeted them with a soft smile and said, "Welcome to my home." The shock in their eyes was something I will never forget. Dad's jaw dropped, my brother froze in place, and Mom's hand went to her mouth. I said nothing more. I just let the house speak for me. Every corner of it reflected every long night, every challenge, and every small victory I had quietly achieved without anyone noticing. And in that moment, I realized the most important thing. I didn't need their approval to shine. I am Emily Harper, and I have always lived in the shadow of my family. Born into a family that loved prestige and appearances more than anything else, I was the quiet one, the one who kept to herself, the one who absorbed everything but said very little. My brother Nathan was Dad's favorite. Everything he touched seemed to turn golden, at least in Dad's eyes. I, on the other hand, was a constant disappointment, not because I wasn't capable, but because I never sought anyone's praise. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, in a home that looked perfect on the outside but was filled with silent rules and unspoken expectations. Dad, a man of very strong opinions, believed success meant having the right house, the right car, and the right connections. Mom tried to soften his edges but often ended up echoing his sentiments. Nathan was their golden child, handsome, charming, and able to manipulate their attention whenever he wanted. And me. I was Emily, the quiet observer. The girl who would quietly leave the room, let everyone else fight for attention, and focus on building her own path in silence. I started small. After college, I moved to Toronto, Canada with a single backpack, a laptop, and a heart full of determination. I had no money, no connections, just a burning desire to prove to myself that I could make it on my own. I took odd jobs at first. Barista in the mornings, tutoring kids in the evenings, even cleaning offices at night. I learned to live simply, to save every penny, and to dream big. Every setback I faced, I reminded myself, this is not permanent. Your turn will come. And it did. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. I founded a small interior design firm, and I poured my soul into it. I treated every client with kindness and respect, never turning away an opportunity to help someone improve their life through thoughtful spaces. I didn't just want to build homes. I wanted to build dreams. Within a few years, my firm grew, earning clients across Canada and the United States. And with growth came opportunities one never imagined. But even as my career thrived, I never boasted. I never called my family to tell them what I was doing. I didn't need their validation. I only focused on being the best version of myself and helping those who needed me. And then, one day, the moment came when everything converged. The moment where I would finally show them that I had not just survived but had flourished. That day began like any other. I was in the office early, reviewing plans for a new mansion we were about to complete for a high-profile client. My assistant Lisa buzzed in with the news. "Emily, your family is coming to see the Preston estate. Nathan just called. He wants you to show them around." I froze for a moment, feeling a mixture of amusement and anticipation. Nathan wanted me to show them the house he had been dreaming of for years. Little did he know, the tables had already turned. By the time they arrived, I had prepared everything meticulously. Every room had a personal touch. Each wall carried art that spoke of my journey. Each window framed a view that whispered of triumph and perseverance. When they stepped inside, Nathan's grin faded slowly, replaced by a confused, almost nervous expression. Dad's sharp gaze darted around, taking in every detail, searching for a flaw but finding none. And then I said it. The words were calm, deliberate, and carried the weight of years of patience. Welcome to my home. For a moment there was silence. Just the kind of silence that made you feel the air around you was holding its breath. Then Nathan laughed nervously, trying to cover the unease creeping into his chest. Dad's eyes narrowed, a mix of disbelief and frustration. Mom, who had always been the peacemaker, looked at me as if trying to understand how this had happened without her knowing. I stood there smiling. I had no need to shout, no need to boast. The house, my achievements, my life. It all spoke louder than any words ever could. And yet, even as they tried to process what was happening, I could sense the storm forming. I knew this was just the beginning. The real test was not showing them my house. It was watching how they would react when they realized that I had done everything without their help, their praise, or even their belief in me. Little did they know, the mansion was only part of the story. There were surprises within surprises. Rooms designed to reflect not just beauty but resilience, secrets that whispered of my journey, and a plan that would leave them questioning everything they thought they knew about me. And as I led them to the grand staircase, I felt my heart race. Not from fear, but from the thrill of watching my family finally see me, truly see me, in a way they never had before. But just as they were about to step into the main hall, something happened that none of us expected. A sound, a crash, a shout, a sudden movement, something that made everyone freeze in place. I looked at them, my calm facade faltering for just a second, and realized that this moment, this meeting of past and present, was about to explode into something far bigger than any of us had anticipated. And that's where the story takes a turn, a moment so shocking it could change everything. The crash echoed through the grand hall, bouncing off the high ceilings and polished marble floors. Dad's hand shot out instinctively, and Mom gasped. Nathan froze, his jaw tight, as if he couldn't decide whether to step forward or retreat. I stood there, heart pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm. I had seen too many storms in my life to let one unplanned moment rattle me now. What was that? Dad finally demanded, his voice sharp. His eyes scanned the hallway, suspicious and angry, as if the walls themselves had betrayed him. Nathan muttered something under his breath, a mix of fear and irritation. Mom clutched her handbag, her knuckles white, and for the first time, I noticed a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. I smiled softly and led them down the hallway. "It's nothing dangerous," I said. "Just a little surprise I set up for visitors. Come, I'll show you." Nathan raised an eyebrow, skeptical, but curiosity won over. Dad grunted but followed, his pride wounded by the fact that he had been caught off guard. Mom hesitated but let herself be led by the momentum of the group. We entered the main hall, and I saw them pause in awe. The chandelier above glittered like a waterfall of crystals, reflecting light that danced across the polished marble floor. Walls were lined with art, paintings I had collected from local Canadian artists, each telling a story of struggle, hope, and triumph. In the center of the room, a grand piano stood, and beside it, a cozy reading nook with shelves full of books I had cherished through the years. Every detail reflected who I was. My journey, my choices, and my victories. Nathan's voice was low, almost a whisper. "Emily, this is amazing." Dad didn't say anything at first, his face unreadable. He walked slowly, as though trying to figure out if this was real or some illusion. Mom finally broke the silence. "Emily, how did you?" Her words trailed off, disbelief mixing with admiration. I let them take it all in. 4 years, they had measured success in flashy appearances and inherited advantages. They had believed wealth and homes were about who you knew, not what you did. But here I was, standing in the middle of a mansion I had built with my own hands and choices, without relying on anyone's favor. A few minutes passed, and the tension in the room shifted. Nathan tried to regain his usual confidence, walking toward the kitchen with exaggerated gestures, pretending to be impressed. Dad's pride, however, was wounded in a way I could see. He had always been in control, always the one deciding what was possible and what wasn't. And now, standing here, he realized he had no say. We moved into the dining room. The table was set elegantly, but not ostentatiously. The centerpieces were simple, wildflowers in glass vases, each one chosen from a market I loved visiting. I watched as Mom's eyes softened, and Nathan's grin wavered. Then came the extreme part, the unexpected twist I had prepared carefully. As they admired the space, I pressed a discreet button on a panel by the wall. Suddenly, the floor above us, which had been hidden behind a large balcony railing, revealed a glass ceiling with a dramatic view of the city skyline at sunset. Lights twinkled, casting a warm glow across the room. It wasn't just a view, it was a statement. I had arrived and I had done it my way. Dad's mouth opened slightly, no words forming. Nathan stepped back, a faint flush on his cheeks. Mom whispered, "Emily, this is," and then paused, lost in awe. I kept my calm smile, letting the silence do the work. You see, I had learned that humility mixed with confidence often had a louder voice than arrogance ever could. They were witnessing not just a house, but the story of my resilience, my kindness to those who had helped me along the way, and the integrity I had carried even when no one was watching. But just as they were beginning to process this, another sound cut through the calm, a sudden bang from the study room upstairs. I froze for just a second, my instincts sharp, and then I saw Dad tense. Nathan's eyes widened. Mom clutched my arm. "What now?" Nathan muttered, more frightened than annoyed this time. I took a deep breath and led them toward the stairs. "It's just another surprise," I said, keeping my voice steady. "You might find it interesting." As we reached the top landing, the next extreme event revealed itself. The door to the study swung open on its own, and inside, lights illuminated a wall covered with photographs and letters. Each picture told a story, snapshots of the people I had helped, the projects I had led, and the journeys I had witnessed. But in the center, framed in gold, was a letter addressed to my family. Dad's eyebrows shot up. Nathan's hand trembled slightly as he leaned forward. Mom's lips parted in shock. No, I simply let them look. I didn't need to explain yet. The letter was not just a note. It was a testimony of everything I had done without their support, without their belief, and sometimes even against their dismissive remarks. It told the story of kindness, empathy, and perseverance. It spoke of late nights, struggles, and victories that only I could fully appreciate. And then, as they read the opening lines aloud, Nathan took a step back. Dad's expression darkened. Mom's hand shook. It was a quiet moment, but the impact was massive. Every word in that letter struck at the core of what they had believed about me, about success, and about life itself. And just when the room felt like it was holding its breath, the study's massive window slid open suddenly, and a gust of wind blew through, scattering some of the letters across the floor. Papers flew, catching the chandelier light, creating a storm of motion and chaos. Nathan stumbled backward, tripping slightly. Dad's face reddened, not from anger, but from the sudden realization that they were no longer in control. And in that moment, I knew the real test had begun. The storm wasn't outside. It was inside the hearts of the people who had underestimated me for so long. And how they reacted next would decide everything. The papers fluttered across the study floor like a small storm, catching the sunlight in sharp angles. Nathan scrambled to pick them up, his face a mix of embarrassment and frustration. Dad stood frozen, fists clenched, staring at the chaos, while Mom hovered near the doorway, unsure whether to intervene or just watch. I stayed calm, my hands folded in front of me. This was exactly what I had wanted. My family confronted not just the house, but my life, my choices, and my achievements. They had no idea how much patience, struggle, and kindness had gone into building this life. Nathan finally found his voice. "Emily, this is a lot. How did you?" He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. I smiled softly. "I lived my life quietly. I helped people when I could. I focused on building something meaningful, not flashy. And now you're seeing it all." Dad's voice was low, almost dangerous. "Emily, this isn't normal. Houses like this, people like this. You didn't do it alone." I shook my head gently. "I did. Every step, every late night, every decision, it was all mine. I never asked for approval. I never expected anyone to believe in me. And here I am. Mom stepped closer, her tone softer than usual. Emily, we didn't know. We never realized. I took a deep breath, holding back the emotions that threatened to spill over. That's because I never wanted to show off. I never wanted to compete. I just wanted to live a life that mattered. For a few minutes, the room was silent except for the sound of rustling papers and the faint city noises drifting through the open windows. The atmosphere was tense but not hostile. Something had shifted. They weren't attacking me, but they weren't praising me either. They were trying to understand, to process what had happened. Nathan finally spoke, quieter this time. I guess. I never thought you could do all this. I didn't smile at him. I let him feel the weight of his words. You didn't think I could. But that's okay. I didn't do it for your approval. Dad ran a hand through his hair, pacing slightly. Emily, where did this come from? How did you even start? I walked toward the balcony, looking out over the skyline. I started with small steps. I worked jobs that no one wanted, saved every penny, and never stopped learning. I treated people with respect, and I built trust. I didn't need anyone to believe in me, except myself. Mom moved closer, resting a hand on my shoulder. Emily, I'm proud. We didn't see it. I gave a small nod. I know. And that's okay. What matters is that I saw it and I kept moving forward. That's all that matters. For a while, we all stood there quietly, letting the weight of my words sink in. Nathan seemed humbled, Dad still conflicted, and Mom. Well, Mom's eyes glistened with tears. They were seeing me not as the quiet daughter in the corner, but as a woman who had built her life with purpose, empathy, and determination. After a few moments, I decided it was time to move on. I led them downstairs to the living area, a more casual space where I had set up a small gallery of photographs showing the people I had helped and the projects I had led. There were families whose lives had changed because of spaces I had designed, children who had smiled because I had found a way to make their rooms feel safe and warm. They walked slowly through the gallery, taking in each photograph, each story. The tension eased slightly, replaced by quiet admiration. Nathan even smiled a little, though he didn't fully understand it yet. Dad's jaw tightened, but the anger was tempered by curiosity. Mom's hands trembled as she reached out to touch one of the photographs. This is incredible, Emily, she whispered. I nodded, grateful for her words but not needing them. It's not just about the house. It's about the life I've built, the people I've touched, and the choices I've made. For a moment, it felt like a calm had settled over the mansion. My family wasn't sure whether to celebrate, apologize, or just process everything quietly. It was a rare moment of introspection for all of us, and I knew that change had begun, slowly, carefully, like a seed pushing through soil. But just as we were beginning to breathe again, the calm shattered. A loud metallic screech echoed from the garage. The glass doors rattled. Nathan jumped, Dad cursed under his breath, and Mom grabbed my arm wide-eyed. Froze, my mind racing. This wasn't part of the plan. Something or someone was outside the garage. The sudden intrusion shook the room, sending a ripple of fear and tension through all of us. Dad's face turned pale. Emily, what is that? I stepped forward, my voice steady but firm. I don't know yet. Let's go see. We moved toward the garage cautiously, each step heavy with uncertainty. As we approached the doors, the sound grew louder, a mixture of metal scraping and frantic movement. The unexpected chaos filled the air with tension. Nathan's bravado had disappeared completely. He clung to Mom's arm like a frightened child. Dad's hands were trembling slightly, an unusual crack in his usually stoic demeanor. I reached for the garage control, my heart racing. The doors slowly began to lift, revealing a sight that none of us could have anticipated. And there it was, the next extreme event, waiting to completely redefine the night, to challenge everything they thought they knew about me, and to push all of us into a moment we would never forget. The garage doors groaned as they rose, revealing shadows that danced in the fading sunlight. My family froze, their eyes wide, hearts pounding. Nathan clutched Mom's arm like he was holding on to the only safe thing in the world. Dad's fists were tight at his sides, every muscle tense. No. I stood calm though my pulse raced. Inside, a sleek black car sat parked, its doors swinging open, but there was no one inside. The metallic scent of gasoline mingled with the faint smell of polished leather. Papers, boxes, and tools lay scattered across the floor as though a small tornado had passed through. "What is this?" Dad demanded, his voice sharp but shaky. I stepped closer, my eyes scanning the room. "It looks messy but nothing dangerous. Just unexpected." I didn't tell them the truth yet, that this was a test I had prepared. A small distraction to see how they would react when they felt threatened, just enough to push them out of their comfort zone and make them notice what mattered most. Nathan swallowed hard. "Emily, did you do this?" I smiled softly. "Not exactly. Let's just say it's part of showing you something important about choices, priorities, and responsibility." Mom shook her head, clearly confused. "I don't understand. Emily, this is a lot." He nodded. "I know. But sometimes to understand someone fully, you have to see how they respond when the unexpected happens." Dad's eyes narrowed. He always hated feeling out of control. "Emily, you're not serious. You're playing games." I shook my head. "No games, Dad. Just life. And tonight, you're seeing it from a perspective you've never experienced." The tension in the garage gradually eased as I led them inside the car. Nathan followed reluctantly, Dad's pride keeping him a few steps behind, and Mom staying close to me, her hands trembling. Once inside, I started the engine. The car's soft purr filled the quiet space. I glanced at them, letting the moment settle. They were trying to piece together what had happened, why I had set up this chaotic surprise, and what it meant about my life. "You've been..." Nathan began but stopped. He couldn't find the words. "Yes," I said softly, finishing for him. "I've been building my life quietly, calmly, without needing anyone's validation. Every choice, every step, every late night, it's been mine. I didn't do it to prove anything to you. I did it to live a life I could be proud of." Mom reached out, taking my hand in hers. "Emily." I didn't realize. "We didn't see how strong you are." I squeezed her hand gently. "It's okay, Mom. You didn't need to. What matters is that now you see me. And maybe you can learn something from this. About patience, about empathy, and about believing in people even when it's hard to notice their efforts." For a moment, calm returned. My family was quiet, but this time it felt different. Less tension, more reflection. They were starting to see me not just as their daughter, or Nathan's quiet sister, but as a person who had grown, struggled, and succeeded with kindness and integrity. We drove out of the garage together, the city skyline stretching before us, bathed in the golden glow of the sunset. The drive was quiet at first, the kind of silence that carries the weight of thought. Then Nathan spoke softly, almost reluctantly. "Emily." "Yes." "I underestimated you. I didn't think you could do this." I gave him a small smile, not triumphant, just steady. "You're not alone in that. Many people underestimate what they can't see. But that's why patience, hard work, and kindness matter. They show the true value of a person, not their words or their wealth, but their actions and how they treat others." Dad remained quiet, a storm of pride, confusion, and reflection brewing behind his eyes. Mom squeezed my hand gently, a silent apology, an acknowledgement of the years she had spent echoing his judgment. As we returned to the mansion, the calm didn't last. Just as Nathan was beginning to breathe easier, a loud alarm blared from outside, a security system I had installed without telling them. Red lights flashed on the driveway, and an unexpected visitor appeared at the gates. Dad's face turned ashen. Nathan's jaw dropped. Mom froze, clutching my arm tightly. "No." I smiled, knowing the night wasn't over yet. The final surprise, the ultimate test of how they would react, was waiting for them outside. I led them to the balcony overlooking the gates. Through the flashing red lights, a group of my clients and friends appeared, all waving, smiling, and holding signs that read, "Congratulations, Emily!" and "You inspire us." Dad's voice was a low growl. "Emily, what, how?" Nathan's bravado vanished completely. "Emily, this is insane." I took a deep breath and said softly, "This is what life looks like when you live with purpose, when you show kindness and empathy, and when you refuse to give up. This is my world now. And tonight you're seeing it fully for the first time." The group cheered, and the mansion seemed to pulse with energy, the culmination of years of effort, struggle, and perseverance. Dad's eyes narrowed, Nathan's face was pale, and Mom's tears began to fall. And just as the night felt like it had reached its peak, a sudden, unexpected sound cut through the air. A sharp, urgent knock at the front door. My family turned to me, bewildered, hearts pounding. I walked calmly to the door, hand on the handle. I paused for a moment, looking back at them. This is only the beginning," I said softly. And with that, I opened the door, revealing a figure that none of us expected. A figure that would change everything and push the night to its absolute extreme. The figure at the front door was tall, dressed in a simple black coat, and carried an air of calm authority. My family stared, their expressions frozen between fear, curiosity, and disbelief. Nathan had turned pale, Dad's jaw tightened, and Mom clutched my arm so tightly I could feel her heartbeat. I stepped forward, calm and deliberate. "Come in," I said softly. The figure entered, revealing themselves to be one of my earliest mentors, someone who had believed in me when no one else did. Mr. Collins, a retired architect and philanthropist, had quietly guided me through the toughest moments of my career. He had helped me see possibilities when doors seemed closed, taught me lessons about integrity, and always reminded me that true success comes from helping others, not from wealth alone. Dad's eyes widened. Nathan's mouth hung open. Mom blinked, trying to process the scene before her. "Emily," Mr. Collins said warmly, "I wanted to see the culmination of all your hard work. I've followed your journey from the start, and I knew tonight would be special." I smiled, feeling a mix of pride and relief. This was the final piece of the puzzle. Everything my family had seen, the mansion, the gallery, the letters, the clients outside, they were all part of the story I had built, but this was validation from someone who truly mattered. Dad finally spoke, his voice low, shaky. "Emily, all of this, you did this yourself?" He nodded. "Every step. I didn't rely on anyone else. I worked hard, stayed kind, and stayed true to my values. And tonight, you're seeing it all come together." Nathan shuffled his feet, guilt creeping into his expression. "Emily, I didn't believe in you. I thought Dad was right." Laugh. "I underestimated you." I looked at him, my expression soft but firm. "It's okay, Nathan. We all have moments when we misjudge people. What matters is what you do now. You can choose kindness, support, and understanding, or you can keep holding on to old biases." Mom stepped forward, tears glistening in her eyes. "Emily, I'm so proud of you. I'm sorry we didn't see it sooner. You've always been amazing." I hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Mom. That means more than words can say." Dad remained silent for a moment, pacing slowly, the weight of realization heavy on him. Finally he spoke quieter this time. "Emily, I suppose I was wrong. I didn't see your strength, your determination, your heart." He nodded. "It's never too late to see it, Dad. What matters is that we recognize it now, and that we learn from it." Just as the tension began to ease, the front door opened again. Lisa, my assistant, walked in with a stack of envelopes, letters from clients, friends, and families whose lives I had touched. Each one carried gratitude, admiration, and stories of hope. The room seemed to glow with their words, and my family realized that this life I had built wasn't just about wealth or property. It was about impact, love, and the lives I had changed. Dad looked around, taking in the people, the letters, the mansion, and the energy in the room. His pride, once so rigid and controlling, softened into something new, a quiet respect tinged with awe. Nathan, still pale but humbled, whispered, "Emily, I want to learn from you. I don't want to just chase approval anymore. I want to understand and help the way you do." I smiled gently. "You can, Nathan. It's never too late. And you can start today by being kind, empathetic, and honest." Mom wiped her tears and nodded. "Emily, thank you for showing us, for teaching us, for everything." I took a deep breath, looking around at my family, my friends, and the space I had created. This mansion, this life. It's not just mine. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we believe in ourselves, when we stay true to our values, and when we treat others with kindness. That's the lesson I hope everyone takes from tonight. A calm settled over the room. The chaos, the shocks, the surprises, they had all served their purpose. My family had finally seen me, truly seen me, and they had no choice but to respect the life I had built. And as we all stood there together, Dad finally smiled, a real, proud, and unguarded smile. Nathan hugged me tightly. Mom held both of us, and Mr. Collins looked on with quiet pride. I realized in that moment that success wasn't just about houses, money, or recognition. It was about resilience, kindness, empathy, and perseverance. It was about building a life that mattered not just to yourself but to others. And as the night fell over the mansion, lights twinkling like stars across the city skyline, I knew this was the beginning of something even greater. A life not defined by family expectations or past judgments, but by purpose, love, and integrity. For the first time in my life, I felt completely at peace. Because I had finally proven, not just to them but to myself, that I was capable of greatness. On my own terms. And that, more than anything, was worth every struggle, every doubt, and every sleepless night.